Welcome back to Chapter 5. In this section, we'll be talking about fun things you can do with links, including images. First thing is, let's take a look at images. The easy thing to do with anchor tags is to play around with them. And if you use an image, you can use an image such as an icon, thumbnails of larger images, or even directional links when navigating between pages or items on a page. How do you do this? Well, it's quite simple. If you recall from the previous example, we had the link text that will be displayed once the anchor point had been established, and that will display when the anchor tag is actually processed in the browser. In this case, we're using an image, which is not link text, but instead an image by itself. And we basically combine the two concepts of the anchor tag along with the image tag to make it nice and easy. In this example from Facebook that uses icons all the time, they basically have an anchor tag and then the image inside of that. It's a little more complicated than this simple example, but this gets the concept across hopefully. You can also have the links do other things such as going to local resources. Links don't have to just go to pages. They can go to images, PDFs, audio files, video files, zip files. Pretty much as long as it's a computer file, you can link to it. In the code example below, you can see that the link text of download file will take you to the page, or in this case the file, files/form.pdf. You can also have a link forced download of a file. Keep in mind that this may not work on all browsers. It's a good little trick to have, but some browsers may actually restrict this automatic download. So instead of having the link go to the file itself and just load it, what happens is that the person that clicks on the link will automatically have a file downloaded to their computer. And the good thing about the download attribute is that it will automatically rename the file to whatever you put in, no matter what the previous file itself is named. As an example, let's take a look at a very simple example. We have a form located on the web server. We have the client on the far right requesting it, and what's happening is as soon as the file is downloaded, in this case it's being renamed as newclientform.pdf because that is the value that we put into the download attribute along with the file extension that is put into the hyperlink reference. Now, let's just change things up a bit. Instead of having a download value, what if we just leave download blank? Well, what happens? Well, the same thing happens as before, but instead of the form being renamed, the form is actually transferred to a client's computer as the same file name as before. It's not loading in the browser, but instead it's being a forced download to the person's computer. It's perfectly fine to have download as a blank value, but in this case it is going to be named whatever the file is named on the web server. Next, let's take a look at protocols. Protocols can actually make hyperlink references and anchor points do a lot more things. In this example, we have email addresses, telephone numbers, create a Skype call, or even send a text message. To do this, you have to basically set it up like you would any other internal or external link. But in this case, instead of using HTTPS or HTTP, you would use something different like protocol like mail to, or tell, or call to, or SMS. To have a bit of text start an email address, you would just do mail to, colon, and then the email address. That would automatically open an email client and automatically populate the to field to the address provided in the link. You can also have the links start a telephone call by preceding the value with tel, T-E-L. In this case, it would open a dialer on a mobile phone, or on a laptop it would open up whatever program is set up to make calls, such as FaceTime. If you have Skype, you can set up a call to protocol so that it automatically opens Skype and starts to call the username provided. And lastly, you will have SMS, which opens up any text message program to be sent to the number provided. Now keep in mind that there are no spaces between the protocol and the value. You will not put a space between www.google.com or between https://google.com. In this case, just like you wouldn't have spaces in a URL, you can't have spaces in these protocols in order for them to work properly. Lastly, beware of spam bots. It is not a good practice to display an email address with HTML. You can use JavaScript to obfuscate the address, which we'll get to later, but spam bots scour the web for addresses and emails. For example, in the image on the right, the email address that I have is, well, publicly available. And in that case, spam bots can find this on other pages, scrape my email address, put it into a database, and send me all these spam emails about different textbooks and products that aren't needed and lower interest rates and mortgages and everything else, and it is a gigantic headache. But if you have the files on your local computer, and I just mean your local computer, not published anywhere else, those are not affected. Spam bots really don't know you exist. So once you start to put email addresses on public forums and public pages, we'll be able to obfuscate that with JavaScript and make it a little harder for spam bots to find you versus having them automatically populate or find your email address and send you a bunch of unwanted messages. Alright, that is the end of this section. In the next section, we'll be wrapping things up with the anchor tags with hot linking and target attributes. If you have any questions, please send me an email or hit me up on Twitter. I'll get back to you the best way I know how.